Hello everyone, this is Paul the Oka Knight coming back to you again with the third and final part of my series on the 1941 playthrough of the Russian campaign. We are now up to the final turn in 1941, which would be November-December, turn 4. What we're looking at is that all-important weather die roll to see if the Germans have any chance whatsoever of unburying themselves from the pit that they managed to get themselves into. There are no die roll modifiers carrying over from our last turn, so this is going to be a straight up roll in the weather table, which is going to be 1 or 2 is going to be light mud, 3 is going to be mud, and 4, 5, or 6 will be snow. If we roll snow, that's going to be pretty much it for the Axis, I think. There are 11 points in Kiev, and that doubles to 22. They absolutely are going to need that Stuka to have a chance. So, all right, here we go. It's going to be 1 or 2 is light mud, 3 is heavy mud, and anything else is snow. And it's snow, 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 snow. So the Germans, once again, have gotten the absolute worst possible weather they could possibly get. But if you want to look on the bright side, that is the actual weather that the Germans got. All right, well, at this point, I would say any sensible Axis player would throw in the towel and set up a new game because I think this one's done. However, just for fun, let's go ahead and assume I rolled light mud and play out this turn just to see what would happen in an alternate universe. So, we're going to do the first impulse move for the Axis as if I had rolled light mud, and we're just going to have some fun with it. All right, let me take care of the move. And beginning in the south, we've got a 4-1 on this is a cavalry unit? Nope, armor unit. Okay, 4-1 on the armor unit. Trying to push them yet farther away from Odessa. Here we go. And a 2. Well, it's not that great. Exchange. Oh, great, we lose another German. So the exchange sets up the loss of these 2 units back to the replaceable units pool. Of course, for the Germans, it's a whole lot less replaceable. All right. Oh, let's keep the suspense going here. We got 4-1 on this guy. The armor unit is going ahead and trying to pummel them a little bit. 6. Well, I know what that means. Defender surrender. Okay, so they pick up and they're gone forever. It's starting to get to be a tidy collection of Russians in both the replacement pool eliminated stack and the surrender stack. But as I mentioned, this is an alternate universe. Officially, the Axis lost this game in sudden death because there was just no way they were going to take Kiev in the snow. All right, we got 2-1 on the next guy, next stack. The flank protectors. 2 attacker retreats. All right, and now what we've been waiting for, 4-1 on Kiev, with the help of the Stuka, which was only available because we kind of cheated and said it was mud. All right, here we go. A 1. Oh my God! All right, it's a contact. It's a contact. Oh my Lord, they just can't do it, do they? They just don't have their mojo. They did not eat their Wheaties. Okay, well that is what it is. I'm not going to bail them out again. Contact. So they're there. They're going to be beating up on each other, but without benefit of the Stuka, it's going to be another 1-1. Oh my goodness. Okay, let's check out the north. And up in the north, a 7-1 on this guy over here, whoever's in there, an infantry unit, no doubt. Okay, all right, 7-1. And it's a 2. All right, 7. That's a D1. The defender is destroyed, and no losses to the Axis units. And now let's roll on down and do another 7-1. Another 2. Okay, well, it's D1's a D1. Good thing it's healthy odds here. All right, so it eliminates the defender. No losses to the Germans. And for some reason I forgot to mark the next guy, but we are taking care of that. We got a 4-1, mostly infantry attack. on the remaining guy. 4-1. Another 2. Okay, well, it's an exchange at 4-1. So we're going to lose the Italian, another Italian, and this guy. Russians are going away, but they are taking Germans with them, and that's for sure. All right, both these guys go into the replacement box. And finally, last 4-1. 4-1 with a 4 is a D1. Well, at least the Germans don't lose anybody more. All right, D1, the defender goes away. And that was another 5-3 going into the replacement pool. All right, that's all of the attacks for the first impulse for the German move. Let me go ahead and do the second move. And I say the conditions being light mud, the panzers will go 2 hexes, and that is the most that anyone's going to get to do. And as usual, the minor allies aren't really going to do anything. All right, let me move the units and we'll see what's going to happen. So in the south, we have a 3-1 on the flanker. Well, let's take care of that. And we end up with a 5 this time. 3-1, D1. Okay, well, that takes care of one of them. The other guy retreats 1 or 2 of the German player's choice. So we do that. And the result is this 3-3 goes into the force pool for a future build. And the 4-3 goes ahead and retreats 2. Okay, now let's go ahead and try this one last time. 1-1. 1-1. Ay, ay, ay. Just can't catch a break in Kiev. Here we go. Just can't catch a break. They rolled a 1. All right, so the attackers lose 1. I think the Axis is going to have to admit its defeat, and that's the way it is. All right, so we get rid of one guy. Okay, we'll get rid of a Romanian mountain unit. And then they have to retreat 1 or 2. So they are not taking this place. It just is not happening. And next turn is a guaranteed snow turn. All these Germans are going to be halved in strength. The way that works is that an 8 armor unit will have to a 4. It's done by unit, so 8 will have to a 4. The 7 armor will have to a 4. So 7, 3.5 rounds up. Okay, so if you have a stack with, say, a 5-point infantry, a 4, and a 3, the 3 becomes a 2, the 4 becomes a 2, and the 5 becomes a 3. Okay, well, that's all bad stuff. No way out of this one. The Germans have just flat lost. But let me roll the dice in the north, and then we'll wrap this up, I think. I don't think we even need to deal with the Russians, who are going to be getting even more guys this turn. And one last roll of the die for the Vaterland. 7-1 on this guy. And makes them surrender. How fitting. Okay. This 3-5 armor goes into the surrendered units box. And that ends the German half of the November-December 1941 turn. I see no reason to go on and continue with the Soviets. Officially, the game won't end until the end of the January-February turn. The end of next turn is when sudden death will be evaluated. Can probably bump them up even more now. They had 11 factors, including the 2-point worker in Kiev, that doubled to 22. It was just too much, and I think I can probably get more over there even at this time. The rail lines are open. I can just pile more guys over there to make sure that this deal is sealed. Alrighty. Let's go ahead and take a look at the casualties that we have so far for this game. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 Axis casualties. And then if we look up here, we can see the collection of units in the surrender pile. So 3, 5, 6, 7, 8, it's about 9 units. I think it's 9 units in the surrender pile. Most of them except for this 5-3 infantry and his little brother, the 4-3 infantry. Most of them are 2s and 3s, and you kind of expect to lose those early in the game. That's kind of okay. You're going to get much better armored units and such later on in the game. The next turn, a whole bunch of guards are coming on, so things start looking better and better for the Soviets. And over here we have the replacement pool, and quite a number of guys in there. And remember, we've been taking guys out of there every turn. We still have 11 workers on the map, and in fact, there's going to be more workers next time. Yeah, the Soviets get an additional worker next time, so it'll be up to 12 since we haven't knocked any off. And there is an optional rule that some people, I think, like, and that's to allow the Soviets to transport factories to the Urals off map. Personally, I think the game was designed and balanced for it to work this way, where the workers slash factories cannot be moved. So because there are more factories coming in as the game progresses, it might be a balance issue if you do that. But if that's something you want to do, you certainly can. It takes something about 6 months to get the factory back online again. So there is a trade, especially in the critical early part of the game. But it's an option there to be used should you decide that that's more satisfying for you. All right, so what happened here? What happened? Well, the northern attack came off pretty well. We decided to make us a corridor, which we were able to do. We plowed right through where we wanted to plow through. Took a few losses, but nothing that was unmanageable at that point in time. And if you recall, we did not attack Brest, and we did not attack Minsk. The Soviet that was in Brest decided they were needed to be up by Sevastopol. That was the initial defender of Sevastopol, came out of Brest. And so that was a good trade. He needed to be up there. The first turn, there just wasn't a lot of Soviet units to spare. Remember, the Soviets had to garrison both Rostov and Sevastopol on the turn 1 to make sure that there wasn't a surprise invasion going to be happening on turn 2. In addition to that, because of what was happening in the south, the Army Group North Panzers were all diverted to the Smolensk region, which was probably why they got hung up on the river going towards Riga and so forth. Although, you know, in this fictitious playthrough where the initial failure to take Kiev did not happen, they almost made good on where they should have been. I mean, I like to see them get here, which is behind the river. They're halved because they're more than one away from the town, but they're behind the river, so they're right back up again. In fact, they're even better because a 5, say, will halve to a 3 and then double to a 6. So he's even better than staying next to that town, go up by the river. He didn't quite have the movement to do it. Soviets will make sure that they don't do that, so they're going to have to kind of stay put. So really, they really are like one hex short of where I would have liked to have seen them as a minimum baseline for what happens in the north. The main thing was that with all the panzers diverted away from Army Group North, it was really not until the bitter end here where we actually were able to bring some armor back down there that we were able to make some progress. And in the south, what happened? Well, you saw what happened in the end. The last couple turns, the Germans could not get a die roll to save themselves to take Kiev, and that included the weather die roll that officially was snow, and it was just too little, too late to take the place. Their best shot was that 2-1 that they had back in September, October. It failed, and then the weather roll went away. So it was about a 50-50 shot on that roll, and about another 50-50 shot on the weather to give them a chance. Even though when I gave it to them, it didn't matter. They didn't take the place anyway. What did they roll, a 1? I think they rolled a 1. It's like, oh my lord, it just didn't work. Yeah, I remember a guy that I used to play way back in the day. He would always say, "You can't fight the die." And yeah, you can't fight the die. If it's going against you like that, there's just nothing you can do. Now, as far as things they could have done, okay, if you recall, I did not set up too many Germans over in this area. I said there was like a 2-point. Right there, I think it was. There was a 2-point Soviet unit I put here that would have forced anybody who set up over here not to set up on the border, but set up behind the border and therefore could have taken one, two, three impulses to work themselves through those mountains. If three impulses to work through those mountains, if that with that guy being there, and I thought that was too long. Therefore, I put more over in this area. Okay, which, you know, they mowed through the first line fine, but the second line ended up just getting shuffled back. They were all sitting in the mountains turn two, and you know, we focused on them. We were able to eliminate them. We took out I think it was a 2-point armor unit in that hex, and basically got up to Kiev. They did have their chance. It just didn't work. What I might do differently, and I've seen this in other test games I've tried, is that I do think you got to put some more strength on the other side of this bottleneck. Here's your bottleneck. You got to put some stuff over here. I think a 7-point armor unit, and I prefer putting it, you know, like here. Then okay, it's probably going to be running into guys, so he's going to move up and attack somebody. So at least he's doing something in that first impulse, possibly the second too. But he's going to be in a good position to put pressure on the back side of these mountains in turn two, which probably means that at least some guys are going to leave. They're not going to, if they're going to get pressure from the backside, they're probably not going to load it up like I did for turn two with the Russians. What I'm wondering is that, okay, if the Soviets put guys here and force you back to where you're going to be spending too much time just getting through the mountains, with the exception of the mountain troops, the Romanian and the German, maybe that armor unit should go here with a friend. So put like about 10 points there, an armor unit and a 3-point infantry. The 5-point mountain guy goes back here if there's Soviets in the mountains here, and then at least you have 3 guys. The mountain guy does not have to respect the mountains; he can go motoring right through them, and that's a legal placement. That's fine for the Germans as an initial setup. And so you kind of waste one impulse and hopefully do some good the fall after that to put pressure on the backside to make these guys start wanting to leave. The other thing is that, if you recall, I think there was a 5-point Soviet unit right here, and that's the one I went for. Okay, and I think if I recall, I got a 3-to-1 on him. So what I did is I gave up on the idea of hitting the little guys that were out by Odessa, and instead I went after the one big attack. And well, if it works, you're a genius. But if it don't work, and this one didn't work, we either got a contact or maybe a retreat. If it don't work, then you haven't killed anything, and now you're facing all those rivers that are doubling everything in sight. In fact, worse than that, you are facing kind of rows of rivers, you know, a succession of rivers that you have to work yourself through. So an alternative would be to load over here, and at least on the first impulse, take out, say, a 3-7 cavalry, and possibly even take Odessa, because it's only got a 2-point unit in it at the start. Well, it only had a 2-point unit at the start. It is doubled. That's why it was the 2-point unit, because everything else, you know, I guess you could put the 5-point unit there, but you're not going to want to leave it there to die, I don't think, because you are short of good units in the beginning of the game for the Soviets. All right, so I mean, those are my thoughts. I think, and I've seen this in other games. I think you got to put some pressure on the backside, because this slows you down so much that you saw what could happen. The Soviets had a solid line of doubled units facing the Germans on turn two, and it just slows you down too much. All right, well, that's my thoughts on the Russian campaign, 5th edition, 1941 playthrough. I hope you've enjoyed it. If you have not subscribed, please consider hitting that button and hitting the notification bell and leaving a comment and thumbs up and all that good stuff. And if you have done all that stuff, I thank you so very much for supporting me, for supporting the channel, and more good stuff coming. Okay, I think that's about it for today. This is Paul, the Oaken Knight, wrapping this one up and wishing you all a pleasant evening.